Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I got a blind battle on the bar tonight. Let's get into it. So on the bar tonight, I have, bam, 2 glasses of rye whiskey. One of them, the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Travelers Bold and Spicy Rye. And if you don't know what that is, if you're not familiar with it, because there's not a ton of information out there, it's a duty-free only, international travel, duty-free only release from Jack Daniel's, and it's a 107 proof rye. And in the other glass, and I don't know which one's which, I've got the Wilderness Trail Single Barrel Rye Haskell's Pick, courtesy of Hatfield Barbecue, so thank you, Taylor, for that. And the reason I'm doing this is because not that long ago, I reviewed the Wilderness Trail Single Barrel Rye, and I absolutely loved it. And it just kind of checked off all the notes that I personally really like in a rye whiskey. And the Jack Daniel's is one of my favorite ryes of all time. I really wish it was just a regular release, but unfortunately it's the duty-free only. But I just decided, you know what? I like that Wilderness Trail so much. Let's pit it against the 107 proof Jack Daniel's rye, because the Wilderness Trail is also 107 proof. Should have mentioned that. And just see which one comes out on top. So I've got the Wilderness Trail in one glass, the Jack Daniel's rye in the other, and again, I don't know which one is which. And so yeah, I'm just gonna taste these back and forth a little bit, see which one's the winner, because again, the Jack Daniel's being one of my favorite releases, you know, it'd be nice to find something that's comparable, and not that there aren't things that are comparable, but I remember the Wilderness Trail having certain things that kind of reminded me from memory of the Jack Daniel's. Now I might drink these, you know, side by side and find out they have nothing in common, but let's find out. So as usually how I do these blinds, I'll kind of nose them back and forth. There's only 2 here, so it won't take that long, but I'll fast forward through that whole part because that gets a little boring, and I will check back with you in a second. So on the initial nosing here, there's some subtle differences here, but these two do actually have a lot of overlap. Just going off of memory on the Wilderness Trail review, I really found that it had like a nice sweetness to it and some barrel and some spice, so it had some kind of darker notes, but it did have kind of some bright, sweet candy notes, like sweet tarts. And it was just kind of balanced really well between those 2 flavors. And what I do remember, it's been a while since I've actually reviewed the Jack Daniel's, but I remember for the kind of darker side of that, I was getting a little more of like a rye bread or rye muffin, kind of mixed with those like brown sugars and stuff. But also, you know, on both of these, I'm getting that kind of bright sweetness as well. And that's really what I like in a good rye whiskey, when you get the balance of both of those kind of profiles. So I'm getting that on both of them, but there are some subtle differences. I'm not going to get into trying to guess which one's which at the moment here. Maybe I'll do that at the end. I don't know. But, you know, on the nosing, I'm getting a little more brightness on, I'm going to go on my right, sample number 1, and a little more of those darker notes on sample number 2. But they seem to be bringing similar things to the table. It's just that one kind of has that brightness turned up a little bit, and one has the darker notes turned up a little bit. Jeez. Can't talk, and I haven't even had a sip of whiskey yet today. So speaking of sips of whiskey, let's get into that. I'll fast forward, check back with you in a second. So on that initial tasting, these are both excellent. I would 100% buy another one of either one of these. What's happening on the nose is transferring to the palate. Sample number 1 here on the right is giving me a little more of that bright, tart sort of profile. It does have that, a little bit of barrel and some spice. It's just, again, like I said on the nose, it's just those the particular flavors with the sweetness are turned up a little bit more than those darker notes. The one on the left, just like the nose, the darker notes are a little more turned up, but it definitely has the sweetness along with it as well. And I would say, you know, just off of that initial tasting, the one on the right here, sample 1, is giving me more of like a spring and summer sort of pour. And the one on the left here, sample number 2, is giving me more of like a fall and winter sort of pour. So, you know, and that's kind of fun. You have like your spring whiskeys and your fall whiskeys. I'm definitely getting the warmer weather vibes off of sample number 1 and the cold weather vibes off sample number 2. But I'm going to go back and forth again a little bit more, and then I'll come back with my final decision. Okay, so I've got my decision here, but I got to tell you, these two are very close in quality. The reason I'm picking the winner is solely based on my mood right now. Like I said before, just based on the blind of both these are both absolute buys, 100%. The Jack Daniel's Bold and Spicy, being that it is a duty-free only, international travel only, I buy them when I see them, when I get the chance. Tend to travel internationally once or twice a year. And so, you know, when I see them and I can get a bottle, they run about 38 bucks, but it's duty-free, so there's no tax. I think the Wilderness Trail runs about 55. And again, both 107 proof, both great, but it being, you know, late fall, getting into the winter, I'm feeling sample number 2 a little bit more because it's kind of giving me more of the mood that I'm in right now. But I think summertime me might have gone with sample number 1. But I think sample number 2 with those darker flavors has a little bit more of an edge to it. It's got a little more depth to it. I will say I suspect that might be the Jack Daniel's, because one of the things I remember getting off of the Jack Daniel's is that kind of rye muffin sort of like darkness, like a buttery rye muffin, then along with that brown sugar sweetness. And I'm getting a little more of that off of this glass, but who knows? I mean, it's been a little while since I've had a pour of this. And again, the Wilderness Trail was not without its kind of darker flavors too. It's just a little bit of a different balance. So anyway, I'm gonna put sample number 1 in the winner. And so let's check out runner-up sample number 2. Oh my God in heaven, sample number 2 is the Jack Daniel's. I was completely wrong about that. The Wilderness Trail, that's so interesting. Again, it's been a while since I've had a pour of the Jack Daniel's. I'm kind of shocked. I'm getting more sweetness off of the Jack Daniel's. Now, when I reviewed the Wilderness Trail, like I said at the beginning, I did get those darker, you know, brown sugary notes. I don't know if I mentioned that kind of rye grain, rye bread, rye muffin note. I think I mentioned more like barrel spice and black pepper spice and some brown sugar sweetness along with that tart fruitiness. And on this one, when you compare the two of them next to each other, the darker flavors just came out a little more on that Wilderness Trail, and that's really surprising to me. But yeah, like I said, I mean, these are both excellent pours, and just I think this just comes down to a mood. And so I guess maybe Jack Daniel's Bold and Spicy a little more on the summertime side rye. But I got to tell you, I'm shocked that I guessed that wrong. I really am. I'm not shocked that the Wilderness Trail won, because I knew already these are both excellent whiskeys. But I'm kind of surprised why it won, because I think it had more of those notes that I kind of liked about the Jack Daniel's. But you know, when you put stuff next to each other, it brings out different flavors, you know, that you maybe don't notice or you don't realize. Like, I think maybe I didn't give the Jack Daniel's enough credit for being as sweet on the like candy sweetness and kind of tart sweetness than it has, because it's really showing up that way right now. And maybe I just didn't give the Wilderness Trail enough credit for that kind of deep, rich rye note. And so, yeah. On the plus side, it's probably easier for me to get the Wilderness Trail single barrel, so you know I don't have to go to Mexico to get that. So anyway, well, those are the results, folks. That's interesting. Again, not terribly shocked, because this could have gone to either one of them. But yeah, my guess was not accurate, which I'm not shocked that my guess was not accurate. I'm a little shocked that it wasn't accurate on this particular whiskey. So, but you know, that's the nature of doing stuff blind. If you watch the channel with any regularity, you'll know that whenever there's more than one whiskey on the bar, we got to do the blend. And if you're new to the channel, whenever there's more than one whiskey on the bar, we got to do the blend. So I have high hopes for this blend. I mean, it smells nice. It's a really nice kind of like baked goods note coming off of this, off of the blend. Yeah, this just is coming across as a perfect, I mean, this is a generic way to describe a blend, but just a perfect mix of the two whiskeys. But you'd be surprised at how often that actually doesn't happen when you're just mixing equal parts of two whiskeys. So anyway, let's have a sip of this. Cheers. Yeah, that's excellent. That's really good. So yeah, two fantastic whiskeys. Again, if you get a chance to buy the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Travelers, I would 100% recommend getting that if you get the chance, if you do see it in the duty free. They also have a sweet and oaky, which is the standard Tennessee whiskey, bourbon, mash bill. So they have both of those. I have them on hand here just to show you what they look like. They come in these little 500 ml bottles. And so, yeah, if you get the chance, I would explore those. And if you live in Minnesota, get down to Haskell's and see if they still have some more of these Wilderness Trail single barrels, because it's excellent. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more of these rye single barrels from Wilderness Trail. So anyway, thank you again, Taylor, for the sample of the Wilderness Trail. This has been a rye blind battle on the bar. I'm Ben. This is the Bourbon Note. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.